But the reason that I got emotional about it earlier and why it's still emotional for me now is because ultimately it boils down to this. Ozzy was one of us. And you know what I mean when I say one of us.
Yeah.
Not a human, but a certain kind of human. He was an outcast and a weirdo, you know, and when one of us goes, it hits us a little harder, I think.
Oh, yeah, for 100%.
David Bennern, MD, was a biochemist, inventor, and entrepreneur. He studied at Harvard and MIT, taught at Stanford, and has founded and served in the C-suites of multiple biotech companies. He developed a sensor that enables heart rate monitoring on wearables such as smartwatches and has made advances in the field of optical blood oxygen monitoring as well. This world is a place where the most evil, vile people dress in suits, and the best kinds of people dress in black and wear makeup. I feel a need to clarify. I did not intimately know Spottacus to some deep degree, and I'm not about to pretend I did in order to worm my way into his much-deserved memorization by those who knew him far better. This is more of just a sharing of my personal encounters with him and the impact of being your true self. Your true abnormal, weird self. Recently, I started to edit together the Anthrocon 2010 footage. Yeah, working 2 jobs and going to college around that time can put a small delay on some things being put together. Point is, that was our first meeting that year.
That's just interesting. Oh my.
Which are trying to get up to do
And that was the mind fuck of the day.
And later that night, me and another friend found ourselves in his hotel suite. Things got a little heavy. I got nervous, being with a stranger, performing, risk. And so I got the fuck out of there with my insecurities in tow. I remember him saying something about scaring people off, but I pretty much blocked it from my mind because, yeah, I was pretty embarrassed about that. 2 years later, through my soon-to-be first of 2 and current husbands, Michelle and I got together again at our first all-out adult party. No need to say anything other than we had a good time. A very good time. I'd be surprised if he remembered the shy, nervous vanilla boy that ran out of his hotel room last time we hung out. It was that night, in 2012, I got to learn about his profession and what he does. Gave me the most medically accurate description of anal play I've ever heard, almost like he was a doctor. Oh yeah, that's right. His achievements aside, such as the credentials he achieved at MIT and Harvard along with developing the heart rate monitor found on smartwatches, hope you all said thank you. Most importantly, he helped make the world a little less shitty for all those around him. He did it while unapologetically being himself.
People will stop, they'll ask me about it, they'll hand me their 3-month-old baby and say, let me take a picture. They'll put their arms around me and they'll start talking to me. And to me, that's just really an amazing thing, that just your outfit changes how people respond to you. All this fear of talking to strangers goes away, and they just will open up to you in ways that are really actually quite surprising.
He did not give a fuck about fitting in for validation from normies. It's an attitude that I admire. Just the, here I am. Moving away from the memorial portion of this into the significance I find with Spottacus, and that is just being outside of normalcy can be a constant struggle to justify your existence at times. You have so many outside forces willing to label you as degenerate for expressing yourself freely, calling us evil for being weird. Well, some of the most evil weirdos I know of And I'm pretty sure anyone coming across this can think of some of their own that they've directly interacted with or heard stories of. Those people don't even come close to the evil committed by those dressed well in tailored suits and have riches beyond our understanding, hoarded in vaults, poisoning small towns and running slave operations. To give you some perspective, when I was growing up in the bubble of Christianity before I hit the age of reason, it was put into our heads that to go outside the norm was to lead to one's own ruin, one way or another. In the 6th grade, our pastor went through the list that is often still used today when it comes to homosexuality. I guess furry kink BDSM cartoon fetishes are a little complicated to explain, so they tend to simplify things by just putting it all into one little neat box of homophobia. According to what I was raised in, you're not supposed to be able to have any kind of achievements, let alone academic, pursue creative endeavors. You are destined to fall under overdosing and drugs, being infected by a disease, suffer in loneliness, or get bashed into death. That was the thing that got me the most, and I'm going to carry that for the rest of my brain functioning. One of the reasons not to fall into the
homosexual lifestyle
is the fact that there is a lot of bigots out there that might gay bash you to death. Now, we don't endorse such behavior, but the truth is there are a lot of hateful people out there that might bash your brains into death for being queer. So don't do it. Don't stick your dick in that pooper. And there's always a double standard at work. If you have a lot of success and claim to be a believer, oh, it's God blessing you with riches and peace of mind, I guess, because that's all money does for you. It gives you peace of mind. If you are successful and not a believer, in fact, especially if you are an outspoken non-believer, well, that's Satan empowering you. Who's more powerful? A person like Spottacus, far as I can tell, overall, didn't let life get him down, and he just kept doing what he wanted to do, despite whatever odds may have been in his way. To me, that is one of the most significant things about him. Whether you are Ozzy Osbourne, Spottacus, or a poor queer person on the street, to do anything other than live your authentic self is, in fact, a living death. We often see the most violent individuals that lash out against people like us have many personal flaws they never overcame or are in denial of the person that they are, no matter how harmless it may be. Accepting yourself for what you are allows you to stop wasting time and energy to change that, and instead gaining a perspective that makes you a better person for yourself and those that actually are there for you in a meaningful way. But back to Spottacus, he was a busy person, which I also can relate to. Time is running out, so you just gotta do the things you plan on doing, however it needs to get done. But also make sure you have time to relax and to be with those close to you, and there won't be any need to try and ever expand that circle. Personal note, there is something I had to long since come to terms with and accept, and that is, as I sacrifice leisure time for myself and others, a lot of events and people are going to pass me by. Another person I knew died many years ago at this point. He went by the name Christopher. He kept popping up in my head years after the fact, too, despite, once again, us not being that close. We had a few interactions. He was very supportive of my work whenever we met, liked some of the stuff I did, and we just chilled out a bit. It wasn't until reading/listening to the book Dune, where the main character Paul makes a speech about a man he was forced to kill in ritualistic combat as he is being recycled into water. It's a long story. The line, though, as his dead man is being ushered into his recycled chamber, the line, "I wish I knew him better," before breaking down into tears, that was kind of a punch to my brain. And once again, Christopher came into my head. So later that night, after work, I finally said my piece on his profile page, mainly just for my own mental health and well-being, I guess. Ending with that line, I wish I knew you better. And I'm so wrapped up in my own pursuits and passions, it's a painful realization that is going to be a line I have for a lot of people I know and knew. And it can't be helped, I think. Personal issues aside, I wanted to emphasize and boost the significance of someone like Spottacus and the impact they have on those around them. Everyone's going to be talking about Ozzy Osbourne going out like a god in his farewell tour, and Hulk Hogan hitting the wind like a wet fart. So I felt it's important to note that you don't have to be a superstar in order to leave a positive impact on a lot of people, whether they knew you in passing or personal, or didn't know you at all, based on the work you did. And the other reason I find it's important to boost one's image, especially if you are kind of like one of those weirdos that don't fit in the norm, is for the fact that there's a lot of people today that think we are flawed. Flawed in a moral sense. And the more of us out there that push it, that manage to succeed, despite whatever privilege or luck is involved, I think it's important to take that risk and put your personal self out there. As long as you're not raping or killing anyone, I'm pretty sure you're okay. There's a quote that comes to mind every time I hear about the tragedies going on in this world. I don't have to name any of them right now. You know there's a fucking ton. But I think it's important for this to echo in as many people as possible, because if anything, the only way that things are going to ever change or get better in the long run as everything starts to collapse around us is if more people keep in mind to have some kind of empathy for their fellow human beings as a species. And this is from Stephen J. Gold from the Panda's Thumb, More Reflections in Natural History. I am somehow less interested in the weight and convolutions of Einstein's brain than in the near certainty that people of equal talent have lived and died in cotton fields and sweatshops. So in a world where you are not ever going to be good enough to the eyes of many, I can't help but think like I have to try that much harder to just be good and do good. So with that, that's all I have.